Well, hello, hello. We're back again for another Other Ink Thursday, and I am joined this time by Joyce Chng, who's a science fiction writer and a game designer and on the leadership team as the diversity coordinator for IGDN, and probably other things. I don't know. We're going to find out more in this interview. Thank you so much for
Thanks
being
for
here,
writing as
Joyce.
well.
Oh, you're a Hugo winner, right?
Yes, I'm a Hugo winner.
Right. I mean, that's
Uh,
you're certainly the first Hugo winner I have spoken to. That
So, hi. I'm still in shock when oh yeah, it's like, oh my God, we won. I was the
Well,
one who screamed. Yeah.
I mean, since we're kind of laughing about it, why don't you start with that? What did you win for, and what did it take to do
We
that?
won the Hugo for best semi-pro zine in science fiction. So,
And
and
that's
I,
yeah,
it's
go
quite
ahead.
cool. And I am actually the senior articles editor for Strange Horizons. That means that I wrangle non-fiction side of the magazine where I solicit and I get writers to write articles, essays. Sometimes we conduct like roundtables and interviews as well. So we also have reviews, which is under non-fiction,
Yeah.
but articles. So I was brought in as an articles non-fiction person. So I've been there for in Strange Horizons for like almost 10 years, I
That's
think.
that's a long time. It's like,
I think
is it
I think
a
around
digital
10. Hmm?
is it a
Uh,
digital
yeah,
publication or
yeah.
is it a do you
It's
print
not,
out
I don't
copies?
think we have print. I think we do offer sometimes print, but it's like patron level. But
Hmm.
I think we're moving towards print. I'm not sure, but we're mostly online. So it's like it's
That makes sense.
accessible, it's global. Our
Yeah.
readership is international as well, and we're getting more and more writers from the global south, which is like India, Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Singapore. So it's like I'm quite happy about that. So we
Yeah.
want to more international sci-fi.
Yeah. And what is the I, I'm curious by the name semi-pro. I mean, I guess that just means that nobody's like living in a big house based on the work of the scene, like I guess that means it's freelance. Like what makes it
I think it's
semi-pro instead of like,
semi-pro as in we I think we do pay pro rates or we try to pay pro
yeah.
rates and but all our staff, our editorial collective is volunteer basis. Right now from the start from first readers slash readers right up to the managing editor. So we're all volunteers. We do not like get a salary from it. We're just
Yeah.
doing it out of sheer love for the genre, for science fiction and fantasy and horror as well,
Yeah.
and fiction, etc., etc. Just fiction. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I know it's been a couple years, I
Thank
think, since it happened, but it's still pretty cool. And uh I will definitely ask you for where to find the website, Strange Horizons. All the links and stuff will be at the end.
you.
Um,
Okay.
uh, so like, where do you come to science fiction then? Like, if you are working as a semi-pro award-winning science fiction editor,
Oh my God.
where is it just, did you always like science fiction, or was there like a conversion moment when you were like, ah, yes, this is the kind of stories that I want to tell. Like I don't what why that and not, mysteries or journalism or anything else you could be writing, why science fiction?
I think it's like an origin story. Okay, I love science fiction and fantasy, mostly fantasy, then science fiction since I was a kid. So I
Hmm.
started reading like in my teens, like I was starting to read like Frank Herbert Dune. I was reading like Robert Hillin, Star Trek,
Sure.
and my top three, Dragon Rise of Pern. So I was exposed to sci-fi pretty much in my early teens, and then when it kind of took hold during like mid-teens, I was like going, I am going to be a sci-fi writer. But then again, yeah, I was so influenced by Dragon Rise of Pern. I was like, I want to write my own stuff. Unfortunately, in Singapore, then I'm not sure even now that writing was known to be not a popular profession. People rather like the boomer generation, the older generation would rather us be doctors and lawyers and
Sure.
other things besides writing.
You,
Like
you can't become an Asian tiger if everybody's writing books. You
yeah,
gotta
you
be
can't be an Asian
business.
tiger or Asian dragon or whatever. You just have to focus on other things besides writing. I'm like, okay. But then again, my love for sci-fi, like Babylon 5, I love
Mm.
Babylon 5. Deep Space Nine. I mean, it started,
I mean, that's my era. Those are the two shows that
yeah, I
I,
love those. I still love
yeah.
those. My family, with my spouse and me, my we are both big geeks of sci-fi. Like he's also a big fan of Babylon 5 too. I think that requires a rewatch one day.
Uh,
Um,
I'll tell you, I'm rewatching. My my partner and I have been watching it like basically the entire time we've been together. Just every once in a while we'll watch an episode. So we just got to we just concluded season 4, which
oh,
is the
season 4.
war with the war after the war. They have the space war, then they have the like internecine war with Earth and spoilers, I
Yeah,
guess, for a show,
it's
20-year-old
like,
old show.
but
Yeah, I
isn't
mean,
it so relevant now?
that's what I'm saying. That's what
Babylon
I was working
5
up
is
to.
so
It's like,
relevant now.
oh, I'm
Oh my
so
God.
sad that this is
It's like,
so relevant 30 years later.
yeah.
Um, anyway, lovely,
Anyway,
lovely.
on one part it's like I like then I flew over to Australia to study my bachelor's in actually I studied in psychology, but I switched to history halfway through. Then I got into sci-fi there big time. Like I joined the anime, like
Yeah,
I watched anime. I joined. I'm not. I was like I actually started attending sci-fi conventions and Star Trek conventions. So it
yeah.
kind of really solidified. Like I still I love sci-fi. It's just there. Um, but when I flew back to Singapore, I had to get a job.
Hmm.
I became a teacher. I got trained and became a teacher, and then I started my own family. Then everything started becoming like a back burner. Like my sci-fi is there, but I want to write sci-fi, but I had to focus on work, 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 which
Right,
is.
right.
But I kind of like left teaching like quite earlier on. Like I went back again. I started writing again full time, kind of like full time in 2007, 6 thereabouts, and never stopped. I never
Yeah,
stopped from there. So, but I went back to teaching around 2000, after 2009 as an adjunct teacher. So it's like you're teaching full time, but you have half the load of a full time teacher, which is like a lot. The teaching in Singapore, you are a civil servant. You're considered a civil servant.
yeah,
And you besides teaching, you have other things to do like administrative. You have to do other things. You have organized stuff. So it's like besides teaching, which is like 30% of your workload, other things as well. So an adjunct teacher is basically like you get most of the teaching. You do
yeah.
not do other things, but you still have to do some things admin as well. So it's like half of the thing is gone, but yeah, but I still stay as long in school as well.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I mean, so I don't know. What subjects do you teach? Is it, I think you may
I
have said,
was
but I missed it. Is it
I'm
writing?
trained I'm trained as a humanities teacher.
Okay.
So what we call core subjects are my core subjects were history and English literature. But for strangely enough, when I got into really like thrown into deep end, I never taught literature. I end up teaching mostly like history, social studies, which is like
Yeah.
our social studies is kind of like history plus political science plus social issues, etc., etc. And
Right.
then I also end up teaching English, which we straddle two departments at one time. So I also teach English EL like, as a teacher. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, I mean, it it's good. I mean, I uh I took a lot of social studies classes in my degree, and art
Mm,
history and economic classes, and
mm,
lots of history classes. So
mm.
yeah, love those are all things I love to talk about. So it's
Yeah.
great. But we we don't need to talk about all that stuff. So
Mm.
I, I mean, I showed you before. I have something. I maybe your newest publication. I don't know if it's newest or not, but Wolf's Path is an
It's very new.
anthology,
It's the newest.
and
It came out
it's
this like first March this year. So it's like
right. And you were promoting it, subtly. You were not banging
it's
the drum every day, but you were like, "Hey, I've
yeah.
got this book
I
coming out,"
try
and
I
it's
try to promote on Bluesky on social media, but man, it's tiring.
well, I
I
mean,
try
if
to.
it's like a whole other job, like you've got to be being your own social media manager is very
Yeah,
difficult.
I have to be
Um,
my PR manager, my social media, and plus other things as well, but streams arises plus. So, and my brain is like multitasking is fun.
yeah. Well, so I was going to say about the Wolf's Path, like it's an anthology and it's in order, right? So it
Mm,
is order of composition of the stories. So it's like this
mm.
really, I don't know, sampler platter of your work over since you
Yeah,
said
several
like I
platter
think
of
the first
my
story
like
is from '07 in the book,
mm,
and I'm reading
20.
through and I'm about halfway through, and definitely the
Mm.
stories are better than they start when they started. Like I
Yeah,
mean, because
do
like
better in
it's your
quality.
progress,
Yeah, the progress and it's like the first beginning is where it's like a wolf trying to look for like sticking out their territory, like sniffing
mm,
out the territory. So initially I was really unsure. Then it's like I'm one of a couple of like pioneers from Southeast Asia to write sci not pioneer, but there were sci-fi writers already existing in Southeast Asia. But when it comes to becoming more prominent in, say, the US centric sci-fi field and industry, I was one of the first, I think. And it was not easy. So it was just trying to find myself, find my grounding, and find my land. So initially, you're just trying to look for, all the pathways and trying to find signposts. And the signposts sometimes they're like moving goalposts as well because in
mm,
US sci-fi they want diversity, but they they always shift the goalposts now and then, and you do not know what is going on. So in between, where you see me gaining my like becoming more and more confident, you see my writing change a bit.
hmm
So by the end, not the end, but by the end, by the third part of the collection, in a way, my writing has become more stronger. I can't say they have crystallized, but my voice has become stronger. So it's like you can see my progression from not day one, but from the
right,
start, not to the end. But I think it's still evolving. The path is still evolving for me. So
yeah.
I don't think I want to stop writing.
No, don't stop writing. I, so obviously I've only read halfway through this collection. This is the only stuff of yours that I have read. So, um, I, I, I think I mean, I'm sure there's better yet to come. There's better out over there, but like I really enjoyed the
Mm,
story Lotus is here in about
yes,
the middle of the book, and
yes.
you have earlier stories that are sort of more overtly like they take place on battleships, and there's one of the stories is sort of a monsterish creature. I'm not sure if it's a mythological creature or sort of
Mm.
a completely imagined creature, but it's got a skin that it wraps itself that looks human, and then it unveils its skin and it does
No,
nasty
that's
things.
Yao Jing. That's more like a Tibet. How I perceive Tibetan Buddhism. In
Mm.
Tibetan Buddhism, there's this. They have what we call the fierce protectors. They are called dakinis, and dakinis. You would think that dakinis look like angels, but in Tibetan Buddhism, they look like wolf-headed, animal-headed
Yeah,
creatures and warriors. Yeah, so it's basically that it's the shift the a warrior who fights against darkness, pretending to be human. So it's like, but it's,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The
I mean
first time, yeah,
I mean that is. I mean, that's one of those things that is very common, like globally, the
mm,
image of like, um, y to fight the darkness, I must put on the mask that is scary because
mm,
I'm not scary. The mask is to scare away the darkness or
but
whatever
she's
that is.
actually
That
reversed. She's actually scary. But she put on human skin to not look scary
right.
because her original form is like a basically a three-eyed wolf.
Yeah.
Uh, not demon, but what I call daikini. So,
Yeah. So
mm,
what I was going to say, making comparison between that, like that you've
mm,
got this high concept, right, of this creature and
mm,
its conquest, or not conquest, its purpose to fight.
mm,
What is it fighting for is part of the
mm,
story, and there's some
mm,
relationship stuff there. Um,
mm,
but then in Lotus, like it is another sci-fi setting. It's sort
mm,
of drowned Earth sort of future. Um, but there's like it's not as weird because it's more but then this is what I'm saying. I'm trying to give you a very long compliment, right? Like it
yeah,
is the relationship is
mm,
centralized in Lotus between
mm,
the two characters.
mm,
They're sailing around on the drowned earth, going from city
mm,
to city and trading stuff and like
mm,
that. It's sort of again another
mm,
well-known sci-fi conceit,
mm,
but you don't spend a lot of time describing the economy and or the technology that failed that created the drowned earth. That's all in the past, and they're not
mm,
that's not their life.
mm.
It's just about them as characters. And so like,
How they interact with themselves, with the environment. This is
yeah,
how what I see sci-fi for me is not just the big battleships and big lightsabers or whatever. It's the interaction between uh people, between themselves, between the land where they're living in, and between on the planet, etc.
hmm
Is how they and how everything is interconnected. Because like what they do is also linked to the wider aspect of the world they're living in. So this is how I often use sci-fi as a vehicle to say negotiate or evaluate or analyze what's happening right now.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I mean, mo almost anything ever written is not about the time it is written in. It is about the time in
yeah.
which it is written. In
Mm.
my, that's my
It's a
analysis.
response to something like
Exactly, exactly.
the Cold War, the nuclear war, or something.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, for now, I think that there are probably many stories and short and novels written during the pandemic, which is
Mm,
like a response to the unknown, the what's the horror of a virus that kills, like,
yeah.
how people
Uh,
cope with, like, deal
Well,
with
yeah,
things with
and
words. Yeah.
I think there's such a cozy an emphasis on cozy stories as well, like just
Yeah,
real gentle mysteries. Somebody's misplaced the recipe in the bake shop,
true.
and
Um,
because I think it's the same thing. It's another version of a response. It's not a comment on that kind of a world. It's like
People
no, no,
like
no. The
grim
real world
dark,
is
grim
scary.
dark. The real world is scary, or we do
We're
the
gonna have a
real
bake
world
shop.
more grim dark, more like getting more like Warhammer 40K, which is
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Right.
with the
I
horror
mean
amped up for like
sh the because ostensibly I'm an RPG person, like Shadow Dark just made like $1.5 million. Like
yeah.
that's grimdark. It's like
People like grim dark, but then again, I'm not against grim dark.
mhm.
Again, my spouse plays for I'm a 40K as well. I was like, so I write for 40K fan fiction too. Yeah. So,
Sure.
but I think
Oh,
it's just that grim dark and grim pretty fast. Like relentlessly grim
hmm
is exhausting. So I think that why people are leaning towards cozy fiction, cozy fantasy right now is because people are exhausted
Yeah.
with just relentless grim dark, not just in fiction, but also in what we've seen now in the news is relentless, non-stop, grim,
Well,
dark, hate, whatever. So it's like people get tired.
and,
I am tired.
and the global. I mean, we're using technology to. We're literally 12 hours around the world. We're
Mm,
halfway around the world from each other.
halfway on the world.
And so we can talk to each other, but it's that easy to also hear the news from around the world. And like
Yeah, it's so
in
accessible now. It's like
in
everywhere is seen.
in the
Social media.
1700s, I wouldn't know what was happening in Australia and Southeast Asia and
Yeah,
Sub-Saharan Africa. I wouldn't know that because I you wouldn't hear the news about it. And so I wouldn't
yeah,
be
but
worried
now
about
it's
it.
just like now it's just everywhere, surround sound. And
Mm,
it's a moral conscious decision to say no, I'm not going to log on today. I'm not
mm,
going to use my phone. It's a conscious, tangible decision just not to like engage with what's
yeah.
happening online on the World Wide Web or internet or whatever.
Do you feel you need to make that choice to like for your own writing process? Do you have to like, okay, I shut that off and I'm going to go over here and I'm writing do you write like because they have typewriters that they're word processors, right? They'll
Yeah, I have.
produce like a
Mm,
document, but they're
mm,
not connected to the internet. They don't do anything else other than you just type into them. Like do you
mm,
need to shut yourself off to do your work, your creative work? Is that
mm,
itself an escape or is it more connected like for you where you're like, that thing, I must respond to that thing and so you're kind of always
mm.
connected to what's happening or
I think it's a conscious decision where I say that I'm going to focus on writing this thing. Therefore, my only contact with the internet is research stuff, browsers that contain research links, etc. Plus music, which is like a coming, like focusing
yeah.
uh, background thing for me, and that's it. I just go like that. So it's only I've done my like 1,000 word or I finished one chapter. Then I say this is it. I can go back to social media, go on Bluesky for a while, check what's going on, post a bit on links. That's it. This I think it's just saying I'm not going to engage with this for a while to do other things. So I have moments where I say I'm not going to engage with social media. I'm just going to engage with say illustration, drawing, sketching. I'm just going to start touching something physical, or I'm just going to garden. So it's just, I think, a matter of very conscious choice, like
Yeah.
the conscious decision making. Like I cannot be terminal, like forever, like what extremely online people. So it's like I cannot be extremely online. I need to tell myself there's a real world where we are. The table I'm
Mm.
touching is real. The air conditioning I feel behind me is real. So it's like I know there's a world on the internet, but it's not real. It's not
Yeah,
fiction.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I tell myself, but then it takes a while for me to get the sink in because for a while I was quite online, then I realized it's not healthy. So that's it.
No, no, it's good. It's great. I love the right. It's I somebody yesterday was talking that I was listening to was talking about how money isn't real, and it's sort of just it's a thing we agreed on that these things have value, and not even everyone agreed to it. Just like certain people agreed that these things are worth that much. Money isn't.
Yeah,
They were talking about money isn't real, but like so there's like reality to it in the sense that like you're in the relationship with somebody who expects the money and you have to give it over on a regular basis to get the goods and services that you need to
yeah.
live.
I mean, there's some,
So it's real in
it,
that way, but I
yeah,
love what you said about like the air blowing on me is real and the garden is real
garden is real
in a way that like even an internet community isn't real in the same way that like here's the grass and I'm gonna go touch it, you
and yeah,
know. Um,
that's
it's
correct.
it's
That's
so
correct.
hard to
Mm,
remember to live that way,
yeah.
and partly by design, I think. There's people who are really invested in you not going outside.
I mean, I think it's in a way, it's a comfort for them, for many people, for not going outside because the real world, or to them, the internet world, do
Hmm.
not scroll, do not scream, do not shout, do not fight. I mean, like punch you in the face. You say something that very like you insult someone on the online, and you do not get someone going, not you insulted me, like they don't get
Right.
that. So they lose themselves in that kind of reality where mm, they are safe behind the screen. They're safe behind
Mm.
the computer screen that's protecting them from whatever. But the real world is when you say something bad to someone will just really take offense and punch you in the face. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
of course, you get arrested now for punching people in the face.
Uh, yeah, right. I mean, but I think some places you can. I mean, I think it's what yeah, there is something. Well, yeah, the consequences aren't as strong. But then I think that's even more insight. Those of us who, probably wouldn't punch people in real life anyway. It's just even more like, uh, just remember, like that's not the real. Like if you're in a world where people that maybe should be punched in the face are not being punched in the face, then that's just remember that's not the real world. Like don't go there. Don't spend all your time there.
Mm,
But it's hard obviously, because so much of the world
mm,
does happen there. The
that
communities
is
that
the
um, so I don't know, this is an awkward transition, but like I want to talk about gaming,
gaming,
role-playing
yeah.
games and stuff like that. And
It's
that is
awkward, especially
often
like
floated as a
yeah,
community building
mm,
thing is to go play the
yeah.
games because you've got
Mm-hmm.
to sit at the table and
Look at
uh,
people and
yeah,
talk to
interact with people, you practice your social skills and take on characters and you understand
them.
relationships and stuff like that. So
Mm.
uh, is that is that right? Is that what games can mean to you, or do you get to play games regularly, or is that or games not much of your life? I don't know. Like I don't
I
know.
think I used to play games more regularly, like tabletop RPG, mostly in my university days,
Hmm.
uni days. But these days, if I want to play games, where I was introduced, I was brought into MechWarrior Online, so I need to go back to it again. But then again, I'm a pretty bad Mech Warrior. I get shot at all the time, but I need to get better. So, mostly these days, I don't really play like tabletop RPG games
Yeah.
unless we all find the time. Like my youngest wants to start a game, D&D game, and we're like we keep on saying that we have no time, but she wants to start a game again. So we might start again next time.
Yeah. Especially
But
if your kid is like, I want to run, or you gotta be
I
like, all
think
right.
she wants to run a Taffling like character. So I'm like, oh no, it's another one. That's the previous game I played. We had was that my Dragonborn cleric character was like her probation officer. I was the voice of reason and a probation officer. I was like, I'm tired. Can I stop being a probation officer? It's like, yeah, but she is chaotic. I think she's chaotic neutral. And I'm like lawful good. So I'm like really clashing. And she's chaotic neutral in real life. As in so it's like
Yeah, you
yeah, it's fun. But I need to go back to games again. I need to write. I mean, I've been mostly writing games and mostly doing conlang, like creating
yeah,
languages. So, as for really playing games, not really that much. As in, maybe online games, yes, but not tabletop
yeah.
RPG
So
games.
what kind of games have you written? What is your I don't know. I looked briefly. I was checking out your website and I didn't find the game section. But I will go look later. But like what games? Like what kind of? I don't know. I'm gonna assume that it's more sci-fi stuff because that's kind of your bread and butter.
Yeah,
But maybe I'm wrong. What themes or mechanics have really
I
interest you when you
think
sit down to make a
the
game?
mechanics I think I like mostly fantasy, sci-fi is in between. I think the last one I've written as in fluff is the fluff for a fantasy game. So it's like in between. And then couple of I think last or 2 years ago, I was writing a solar punk setting. Uh, it's werewolves who found like this flower who that can change the world, but how are they going to use the flower? Are they going
Yeah,
to help civilization or not, etc. So it's like um yeah, in between, like mostly sci-fi.
yeah,
Uh, I read my own like indie like tabletop RPG games myself, but it's like all on each page. So it's like yeah, and just no, I'm not coherent right now. Oh no, Joyce thing. Okay, I I like things with mecha, like giant robots,
uh-huh.
and how people deal with giant robots and how the pilots themselves deal with giant robots.
Yeah.
And
Do
and
you
that's it.
do solo journaling games? Do you know that as a form
There's a
of
form,
game?
but I think what I did was that I created this game called Sabbatical. Sabbatical is basically like think of 80s anime giant robots mecha uh series, the things you have watched when you're a kid, like
Hmm, hmm.
Neighbor, Robotech, Macross.
Right, right.
And this basically, this story is about, or this setting is about, this is an all-female fighter pilot, fighter squadron. So dealing with this giant race, like think they're a bit like Centradi of sorts. It's no Centradi. Oh no,
I do.
Centradi.
I know what
So
that
it's
is. I
like
know that
as
word.
shenanigans, this all-female team, all-female squadron can get up to. So within and you get the hot head, the tech head, the scholar, the leader,
Yeah.
the voice of reason. Yeah, so the nerd.
You need one of all of those in a team.
I I feel as if I would be the hothead because when I was a kid, I was the hothead. So it's like I'll be like, I would start brawling anyone. When you insult my team member, boom. You insult my wingman, boom. Like there's a brawl in the
I
hangar and it takes 5 people to like 10 people to separate all of us. But no, it's like yeah, this is like it's not a solo game. It's a dice and paper game, but I think it can also be used as a solo building game. So it's like it's on itch, but I think I need to find time to really sit down and um refine it again.
Yeah. Eh,
And the second, sorry,
No,
the
go ahead.
second tabletop RPG game which I have been trying to really like get it off the ground is the tabletop RPG game based on my space opera series I wrote. It's a werewolf in space, literally like space werewolf clans in space. So it's you see the all of different mm,
You've got
three, four
this is the
human
Starfang series, right? You've got the
Starfang, yes, Starfang. So it's
you've
the basic
got at least three
Starfang,
books, I think.
3 books at the moment. It's enough. um, 3 books, and then it's like now we are coming up with I think there's a mechanics now. We just need to find time to really play it and
Yeah.
get it under emotion. So it's like, yeah, it's sci-fi again. Sci-fi, mostly sci-fi. I'm more comfortable when it comes to sci-fi, giant robots, giant spaceships, but it's not just the giant spaceships, it's always about um narrative, the
Yeah.
narrative, the interaction between the characters, the people in it, because it's like it makes the thing because I'm a big fan of found family as well. So like we are family. We are family but not by blood, but just we're together as
Yeah.
one, working together towards something we don't know. But yeah, that's what I'm
And
working on right now. So it's like
right. I mean these are there's so many ways to go with that as
mm,
far as like what makes um because any sort of I mean the traditional RPG resolution mechanic is some sort of percentile, not percentile like literally, but
mm,
like
mm,
there's always a chance, right? You flip a
mm,
card or you roll a die or you roll a percentile or you're
mm,
you're balancing a cube tower or whatever.
mm.
There's some amount of like
Or you have a clock like
uncertainty.
those like the response clock and you just go through like
Yeah.
this, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh God. When
Well, right. I mean, you're right. I'm wrong. There are other mechanics that are
there's many ways
involved,
of doing it now.
but
It's
the
just
clocks. Um,
mm,
but like bringing in like the relationships, making the relationships risky, or making the
mm,
nature, if you're talking about werewolves, then like the usual thing to explore with werewolves is the am I going to become too monstrous and destroy things, or
mm.
like that dual nature of like
Dual
the
nature of like because the
the
ones
human.
in the Starfang world is just that the human and wolf. So it's like when would wolf like take over and next thing you know it's
Hmm.
like something is like the diplom the diplomat mission is gone and it's
Right,
just
right.
something like that. So it's like
So I
yeah,
mean, you stick any mechanics you want into that. That's
yeah.
amazing, like context, right? Because to have the like the space opera stuff
Mm,
and I mean, is it more? I don't know. Is it more? You mentioned Babylon 5. Is it like? I mean, that's a space opera, right? But it's got a lot of
mm. Interaction between
laser.
people.
It's fighters. They have a lot of fighters and like
Mm,
starship battles, and they're
mm,
talking to aliens. But then like Star Wars is also space opera, and that's a much more dramatic speeches and people with swords, and it's more akin
yeah.
to the pulp stuff from the 30. I mean, deliberately,
Mm,
it's more akin to the pulp.
mm.
So, what kind of side of space opera are you landing on with that? Like, it sounds like with werewolves, you're going more like wild. Like let's get into I've got
A
cyber
brawl.
claws and I'm gonna
Uh,
jump through space, and but like I don't know, like what is your I don't know what
I
kind of
think
space opera is it, I
it's like
guess.
the game can a Starfang game can look like big battles or whatever, but in between the what I think I have instituted in the game itself is breathing space.
Mm,
How do the characters recover from adventure? Like
mm.
or
That's
how do they heal from injury? So in between they are breathing, how do they eat? Do they sleep? Do they talk to one another? What do they do? How do they interact with one another when
yeah,
they're hurt? So it's like in between there's this breathing space and a GM, the storyteller, game master can say we will have one session where we will uh, describe or tell our healing, recovering like processes,
yeah.
what are we doing during this time, etc., etc. And it will just segue maybe next to next story. So
That's
like
I mean that's almost that could be a whole game right there.
it
You
can be
don't
whole
even
game, yes, right.
you just roll the you make one roll. It's a D4, a very
Mm,
simple roll, like see who won the battle. Great. But then now
yeah.
we're going to play the game about the recovery period. That
Yeah, very period because by the time that all the characters will have like their like also damage rolls and how are they far gone? Like are they injured? Are they still
hmm
walking? Are they like comatose? Or like yeah. So it's like so using this as a gauge where I think the GM can say, this is the setting right now. Like we are recovering from a skirmish with say blah 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 alien or this Shinshini pirate raid. So how are you going to recover from that? So
Yeah.
each character will like look at the character sheet and say, okay, I'm this now. So therefore, like what can I do? I will see like I will be looked after by the physician. He's also another character in the in the team in the group and the physician look after me like give me medicine and make sure I'm okay and nag at me for not good. Please do not move a lot. I will advise you to rest. Abusing the doctor like I will advise you to I'm a doctor, not a so each character will have their own like not monologue, but it's like their own like how they see themselves recovering or
Yeah.
coping with what happened after the pirate raid from before the game before. So it's like quite I'm still thinking about it, but I think it can be okay by itself, but everyone is just acting out or
Yeah. Well,
describing, yeah.
I always like the first game that I designed with my design partner was
Mm,
a 1930s
mm,
post World War One sort of
mm,
mercenary stuff,
mm,
big machines, everything like that.
mm.
But also everyone was an animal. So like you got to be a squirrel fighter pilot or you got to be a pig man mechanic, you know. Um,
Okay.
and this is a setup to tell you that like all those things like okay, big space battle, like healing recovery, but also you're a werewolf. It just is like it's just like a little bit more to the
Mm,
story, right? The
mm,
same way that like I think one of my first games there was is sort
mm,
of like the added comedy or added interest of like,
mm,
the who's you can either play the animal to type or you play the animal against type and then you've got
mm.
like a big buff chicken that is not scared at all or you've got yeah, see you laugh because it's funny.
Thank you. Very nice.
But so like everything you're saying, I'm interested in like the kind of because you don't get as much aftermath. I mean, sometimes a good war movie will show a lot of aftermath and show a lot of
Mm,
cost to the action.
yeah, of course, yeah,
Um, but then how do the players recover from that is a really interesting moment to focus on. And then also everyone's a werewolf is sort of like, just heightens that,
yeah,
or, like what does that bring in as far as like magical, supernatural healing or not, like depending
um,
on exactly the context. You can't supernaturally heal from this because it was too grievous. You have to regular
Grievous,
heal from this.
yeah.
There's so many things there. So I'm very interested in that. Continue to work on this. Let me know when it happens because
I need to put my two other team members who are working on this. It's like we just it has gone quiet for a while because I
uh,
think the two of them are quite busy with their real life. I mean, their
yeah,
own jobs as well. So I'm trying to poke them again, like let us work on the
it's
mechanics because I'm going back to mechanics again. It's like, we need some work on mechanics. It's too because
yeah.
my confession is I'm not good at mechanics. Give me the setting, the fluff, the world building, I can do it very well.
Hmm.
I mean, when it comes to my sci-fi writing, most people remember me for world building, my world building. So it's like, yeah. So my I can't say my expertise is world building, but my strong point, my strength is my world building. But on
Yeah.
my weakness is my mechanics. When it comes to mechanics, I have to ask my spouse, who is like, he has rolled dice more than me. So I'm like, I just go with like my instinct. But it's like, no, 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 this is wrong. You need to add this. I'm like, oh no, I do it wrong again. So yeah, I'm not good at mechanics, and I have made it very clear in the beginning. So they are
Yeah.
helping me with the mechanics. I'm there with the world building.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, writing with other people tends to make you both better because you can cover
I
for
mean,
each other
even
and
more.
build up more.
Mm,
Um, uh, Joyce, we've almost reached the end of our time, but I don't want to talk to you without having talked about IGDN, your
yes,
role as the diversity coordinator, and IGDN. This is your second term you've entered
second
into,
term,
right?
yeah.
So,
As Sean Luke asked me, I said, okay, yes, why not?
so what I mean, I know the answers to this, but tell people who are listening to this what the diversity coordinator kind of does within
The
IGDN. And
diversity coordinator, basically, what we do is that I need to tell you about the program first, the
of
diversity
course,
sponsorship. And the diversity sponsorship is basically where we get game designers from marginalized backgrounds, as marginalized identities, uh, who want to have like access and mentorship from experienced game designers. So this program is for them. So this program allows them access or interaction. Like in this at the moment, it's all going online because of the global what's happening right now. So they can email or chat with their mentors. They will have cash grants. And if they have the opportunity, they can attend like Metatopia. This is basically for people who might not be, say, in the global north, as in North American, people who say they are mostly, say, from the global south, like Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore. We have applicants from Turkey too. So it's like my people who are marginalized, who just need that leg up, this open doors for them. It's just diversity sponsorship basically open doors for a lot of people, and they are quite happy about it. Yeah, and the coordinator is basically coordinating all of these, pairing like what I did was I paired the mentee to the mentor, and I introduced them, and I kind of like monitor the relationship of sorts. But the thing is, sometimes they do go silent. So yeah, I do monitor of sorts. I'll just say if any problems, just talk to me.
yeah.
We'll try to resolve it as well. So this is what the diversity sponsorship. So the diversity sponsor recipients will have mentors, a cash grant, and a chance opportunity, hopefully in the future, to attend Metatopia.
Right. I think
Yeah.
it was years ago, it was a little more North American focused, and
Mm,
Metatopia happens
mm,
in New Jersey. And so, yeah, it was like,
mm,
oh, you get a, you know, part of your way is paid to go to this specific con. But I think it's
mm.
since 2020,
I think at the moment we are still trying. I think now what we're trying to do, we're still reorganizing stuff because we realize some stuff on the IDGN website is a bit outdated, so we're trying to update everything. So at the
right.
moment, there's some flux. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, diversity sponsorship, we do want to see more diverse members as well.
And
Because
you
as a
just,
whole,
I mean, I think, uh, unless I misremember, right, you just opened the application process, right?
yes, we do.
It
Yeah,
is for the next cycle of
yeah,
sponsor all the things you're talking about, the sponsorship
mm,
and the mentorship, it is currently open. So that
very
is
open, yeah,
something we will also put in the description of this video, right? So if
yeah,
you're watching this video and consider yourself to be, somebody in need of
participant.
this kind of mentorship
Mm,
and somebody whose voice is not heard as much in the pop culture that is so prevalent,
mm,
get on that sponsorship and or get on that application process. And
mm. And the thing is that the IDGN also, we are firm on the fact that we are DEI, we are
absolutely.
diversity, inclusion, etc., etc. So it's like we're not going to turn up people away. We are open to all marginalized identities, groups, peoples. So do not be shy. We need more people. Yeah, we need more diverse. Because the world is becoming so, I don't know, the world is becoming very messy. But I think having a diverse group in in a globalized world
Mm,
will make it better. I mean, we
yeah.
understand each other, we interact, and we will learn from one another. That's, I think, my hope as an individual GDN member, but as a diversity coordinator, I feel that that should be the case, that everyone should have access to game designing, creating their own games, and having people play the games.
Yeah.
And that should be the goal for every uh, trade groups or other associations that promote diversity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Mhm.
It's great. And yeah, I think it's I don't know, like it is sort of like I don't I think I've seen the names. I believe I saw the names of the sponsors last year, but it's, it's
Mm,
I didn't necessarily get to meet any of them. So we'll maybe I'll do it differently this year. I always think
mm,
like doing an interview like this with all of the recipients or all of the, like
mm,
what that would be promotion and
mm,
interesting and that broadening the spotlight, right? Or shining the spotlight on these people and their
mm.
work. Maybe I'll do that this year. It's like you said, everybody's busy. Everybody's busy.
Experience. I think it's what my one of my friends would always tell us. We have what we call time budgets and energy
mm,
budgets. So it's like
absolutely.
how much budgeting we need to use them. And all of us are doing things like editing, managing stuff, and on top of other things as well. So it's like,
Well, right,
oh,
right. This is it's very difficult to do, if you've got a job somewhere doing something, very few people in the IGDN have the game making as their job. A few do, very few do,
I
but
do do, but a lot of them has a day jobs, like,
right. And then like you've got like a magazine that you're running or a publication that you're running, and then
I'm doing my own
coordinating
writing
and
as well, and
right,
it's
your own
like,
writing.
oh,
It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know
a lot
how.
is a lot, but I think it's what I've learned to be more like I've learned how to comment, comment,
Mm,
compartmentalize everything. Like everything is in these small chunks, and it's more doable. And I have to tell myself, I'm also a human being. I'm mortal. I do not have enough energy for everything. So it's like, and you should, I think for for a lot of groups and like all the NGOs, we call ourselves NGOs, all run by passion and volunteers. So it's like just we need to be aware that we also need to rest, self-care. Yeah, because how are we going to provide care? How are we going to provide care in the community? And how are we going to care for ourselves as well? That's
Yeah.
very important as what I would tell people, like, how are we going to care for people if we cannot care for ourselves?
Yeah. You are part of the community and you must also be cared for by
Yeah.
yourself and other people. That is, yeah. Uh, well, Joyce, thank you so much for talking to me
No
today.
worries, no worries.
And
Yeah,
I want to hear your links. Where can people find your work? Where can people get this book that is your newest publication?
you want me
Uh,
to put in chat so that it's easier?
just say it out loud and then you could put it in the
Oh,
chat for me later. But like tell the people who are listening to this conversation
okay.
where.
I have an
Oh.
own copy as well. So if you want, if you're looking for Wolf Path, go to artistarts.com and you can find it. Strange Horizons, if you see it, is strangehorizons.com, I think. Uh, we write science fiction. We are a magazine, a global magazine that deals with science fiction, uh, in all their forms, including criticism, sci-fi criticism, review, and non-fiction. Uh, Other than that, you can look for me on each as I think Black Wolf Sings. Yeah, that's my login. Why wolves? Because I like wolf. So you can look for me there, and
It's
I'm
your
on Blue Sky.
brand.
Huh?
It's your
Oh,
brand, Wolf.
huh? What?
Wolf is your brand. Like you got to put
Yeah,
it
the
in
wolf is
all
my
your stuff.
brand. Yeah. Um. You can look for me on Blue Sky as well. I'm Jolantru, JolanTru. Why Jolantru? Because I like Star Trek, Romulans. Hmm.
Uh,
It's long. I've been using it for a long time, so yeah.
yeah, yes. When you get on the internet at a certain age, and then sometimes you keep that same name forever.
A long time, yeah. It's like becomes you of sorts, like yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, all right. Well, I'll make sure that all of those things are in the description
Yeah,
of this video as well, so
yeah.
that you can find them easy. And if you're listening to this, and I want to thank you again, Joyce, for talking to me about your work and about the yeah, bringing your perspective from a place that's not North America, where is the most of the people that I talk to.
No
And
worries. I'm glad to be part of it as well. I'm
yeah,
honored to talk about stuff.
and
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. I'm glad, and thank everyone who watched the video and listened to this conversation. Give us a,
Mhm.
a like and a follow and share it with other people who, you think would also enjoy this conversation. Thanks.